The meeting with Therma had been arranged high up above the streets of the city. I decided to go on alone to meet with Therma, but when I reached the rooftop, she wasn't there. As I waited, I started to think about the situation. The more I did, the more I decided that I ought to go and get Malachite. Frankly, hooking him up with Therma was probably the only way to get him off my back. Maybe it'd help me get some answers out of Therma, too. Malachite was the biggest troll I'd ever seen. Actually, Malachite was the biggest living thing I'd ever seen, and possibly the dumbest, too. Well, I'm back. It's not been easy, but I've arranged a meeting with Therma.
Take me there. Take me to Therma.
In a moment. First, there's a couple of things we need to discuss.
Take me to Therma. Take me now.
Okay. Let's go. The rooftops above Salis and Fedra were quiet. No one had a reason to be up here. I was looking forward to meeting the mysterious Therma, and I was hoping I might get some answers out of her. Unfortunately, the last thing I remembered was looking up at the moon. The next thing I knew, I was being arrested by the Watch. They told me Malachite was as dead as two sides of bacon, and I was the prime suspect. His back had been chipped away like he'd said something particularly insulting to a disgruntled quarry workman, and they seemed to think my crowbar was the murder weapon. I had the opportunity and a possible murder weapon. All they were missing was motive. And anyone who had ever tried to get an intelligent comment out of the troll had a motive to kill him. It looked like I'd been stitched up as nicely as a fine genuine tapestry. They took me to Pseudopolis Yard to be interrogated. They had a salamander lamp shining in my eyes, so I couldn't see what was going on, but I could hear Nobby and a troll talking in the darkness. It was probably Detritus, the first troll to join the Watch. Detritus was the troll many people in Ankh-Morpork thought of when they heard the word troll, bringing back as it does vague memories of sudden concussion and extreme pain. Sometimes you'd hear two short planks being described as thick as detritus. Your ideal street cop, in fact.
So I'm a good cop.
No, I'm the good cop. You're the bad cop.
Then, why don't I get to prod him a bit with my fists?
Because we're supposed to get information out of him, and it's hard to understand people talking through a mouthful of loose teeth.
I can smash lightly. More like a gentle caress, right?
No punching.
I can kick using minimal acceptable force. Like Mr. Vimes says. Lots of it.
No punching, no kicking. We just talk to him.
Talk?
Right, well, I'll talk. You shout.
All right, you done it. Own up now, we know it was you.
No, not yet.
Oh, all right.
I've just got to start the audiograph.
Right. All right, you done it now. You got to sing like one of them flappy twittery things.
Wait! I've got to start the recording properly, otherwise it doesn't count. Right. Interviewing Suspect Luton. Present, Corporal Nobbs and Sergeant Detritus.
Now?
Now.
All right, you done it. You might as well make it easy on yourself. Everyone know it was you.
This is my interrogation, is it?
Don't you change the subject, you miserable excuse for our horse's donkey.
Just tell us what happened, Luton.
Here are the facts. Fact. Mundy was killed. You found at the murder scene.
I was unconscious.
How you knowing you was unconscious if you was unconscious, eh? Foiled you with logic. Now you listen to me good, and then we see who wears the long two-legged garments. Fact. Escape thingy, Mount Malachite.
Thingy? You mean troll?
Nah, not escape troll. Escaped,
Feline.
Escaped feline?
Yeah, he escaped from a holding cell.
Is it possible the word we're looking for here is felon?
That's the one.
What did he do?
Hey, we asked the questions, you miserable arugaraha. You know what arugaraha mean?
He knocked over the Van Uberwald mansion.
I never knocked over the von Uberwald mansion.
Now, that's what Malachite did.
So what does arugraha mean?
In the precise moment that dog droppings turn white.
I think you'd better get back to being the bad cop.
I am the good cop.
Now, I'm the good cop.
So that make me,
The bad cop.
So how come I not get to hit you then?
We can't beat him up, Detritus. That'd be police brutality.
It only brutality if you leave marks what show. Escape thingy, Mount Malachite. Was killed, and you was found at the murder scene there too.
Once again, I was unconscious.
Oh, how convenient for you. 2 murders and 2 unconsciousnesses. What about the murder weapon, eh? What about the crowbar?
Tell us where you got the crowbar, and I'll give you a smoke.
One of your dog ends? No, thanks.
I'll get you coffee. Maybe some cherry cake. New suit. You get to choose the colour.
I think you're taking this good cop role too seriously.
Thank you. Now my turn. You want to fall down the steps to the cell without leaving your chair? It's fine by me.
Look, I had a meeting with a troll named Therma on the rooftops of Salis and Phaedra. I'd arranged it on Malachite's behalf, and when we got there I must have been knocked unconscious by the killer. I know it sounds improbable, but that's how it happened.
2 murders, and you happen to be unconscious at the scene of both.
You got to admit, Luton, it's a little far-fetched.
You want I should make up a defense? You want I should lie? This is the Lawyers' Guild all of a sudden?
Just tell us what you know.
I've told you all I know.
How come you know Malachite?
I met him in the streets. He wanted me to find someone called Therma.
When you find out he was a felony.
A felon. And I didn't find out until just now.
Luton, you're going down for murder. I don't think it's worth pretending you don't know who Malachite was.
I didn't know who he was. Do I need to draw you a map?
To what?
It just doesn't seem right, Luton. You being a detective and all, and not knowing one of your clients was an escaped felon.
What can I say? I guess I'm not as good a detective as you are. You want to know what else?
I wouldn't mind that map you mentioned. Might make things a little clearer.
Shut up, Detritus. There isn't a map.
He said there was.
I kept following Malachite's case because it intrigued me, and the more I dug, the more interesting it became.
What did you find out?
I don't know. I guess I learned that I shouldn't have tracked down Therma. It seems likely to me that she's Malachite's murderer. Why don't you interrogate her?
There's no troll named Therma in Ankh-Morpork. You expect us to believe that this Therma killed Malachite and Monday and framed you for both? Come on, sing like a pigeon on a stool. You done it, didn't you?
There's no reasoning with you, is there?
Not often.
Come on, you ugly sewer scraping. We want something we can believe.
That's enough, detritus.
Sir?
You can go.
I did it right?
Let's say you were everything I expected. Now go and write up the report. Not in crayon this time, please.
That should keep him busy for a few days.
He may be slow, but he's not an untrustworthy killer like you.
Why the personal interest in this case, Vimes? I'm sure you've got more important things to do now you're commander of the watch.
My reasons are my own.
You're not interested in my guilt or innocence. You're just out to nail me.
Frankly, Luton, I've got all the evidence of your guilt I need, and if I get my way, they'll lock you up and melt down the key for scrap iron. You're a bad cop, and I don't have any time for you.
If you're so convinced of my guilt, why the interrogation?
Nobby has this deranged idea that there might be some extenuating circumstances that we ought to find out about.
It'd make everything a lot easier if you'd confess, Luton. I'm sure you had a good reason to do what you did. Let us help you. Cigarette? Holiday for two in Quirm, sea-facing room, we pay the minibar bill.
I'm not guilty, and I'm not confessing to a crime I didn't commit.
Listen to me, Luton. We're conducting this interrogation because I believe in upholding the law.
There is no law in Ankh-Morpork.
True enough, but there's my law, and there's the patrician's law. Which would you rather face?
What's the difference?
Lord Veterinary considers it a happy state of affairs if the punishment can involve the actual perpetrator, but sees it as by no means essential. I consider it to be absolutely essential.
But you've already decided that I'm guilty.
That doesn't mean I've proved it.
And if I prove my innocence?
That's not going to happen.
Then what's the point of this farce?
Smoke?
No.
The thing is, Luton, we just want to find out what happened.
Do one decent thing in your life, Luton. Help us close this case.
Why should I?
So we can close this sorry little act and concentrate on the threat to the city.
The threat.
The counterweight killings.
Doesn't it make more sense that both Mundy and Malachite were killed by this so-called counterweight killer?
That's what you'd like us to believe, isn't it? You make the murders look like the counterweight killings and hope to get away with it.
That's it, isn't it? You're not interested in me. You want to catch the counterweight killer.
You're just a low-life killer, Luton. My job is to protect citizens from people like you.
What? You don't even like them much. You think they're all criminals.
Maybe, but murder leaves the place too messy.
Look, Luton, we don't think you're involved with the counterweight killings. But we have to know which ones are which if we're going to stop him from killing again. This is your chance to be a hero, to help us to catch a foreign assassin.
A hero? There's nothing I can do to save myself. Why should I care about the rest of the city?
You were a good man once, Luton. This could be your one shot at redemption.
I was never that good a shot.
You ought to know, Luton, that you're a suspect in the counterweight killings. That crowbar of yours was palace property, which means you had access to at least one of the murder sites.
You're getting desperate, aren't you?
We're wasting our time with you.
What about Reagan?
The dead dwarf? What about him?
Another murder in suspicious, almost ritualistic circumstances. He's a nobody, but it has all the hallmarks of a counterweight killing.
Are you confessing to the murder of Reagan?
No. I'm just saying that Mundy and Malachite aren't the only nobodies to get bumped off in mysterious circumstances.
There was nothing mysterious about Reagan's death.
People don't just drive carriages off a bridge for no reason.
He was driving recklessly across the city. It's probably just a suicide. Maybe he was just drunk.
Reagan was murdered. I'm sure of it.
You've got bigger problems than that right now, Luton. I suggest you concentrate on them.
Surely you have other suspects for the murders I'm accused of, even if you don't think they're part of the counterweight killings.
Smoke? A set of the complete plays of Hwel the Dwarf bound in nearly real leather?
No, I don't want a smoke. I want to know who the other suspects are.
At the moment, you're top of our list.
Although you are the bottom of our list, too.
I am the list, aren't I?
Sorry.
Don't apologize, Nobby. Listen, Luton. There are other suspects for the counterweight killings, and we're investigating those. But for Mundy and the Troll, you're the bottom line.
What about Horst?
What does Horst have to do with anything?
He's been watching me. He's up to something.
He's always up to something. But he's not a murderer. Not by his own hand, anyway. He'd never be so careless as to carry out a murder himself. He's not that dumb.
What about Al-Khali?
Al-Khali?
One of Horst's cronies. I think he's been following me.
I guess I could interview him.
Why do I have a feeling that you won't?
Face it, Luton. You killed Mundy. You killed Malachite. And you tried to make it look like it was part of the counterweight killings.
Nothing I say is going to convince you of my innocence, is it?
It doesn't look that way.
All right. Yes, I was in Mundy's room when he was killed, but I was unconscious. And yes, I was on the rooftops when Malachite was killed. Again, I was unconscious. I don't know what happened, but somebody knocked me out, and whoever they are, they're the one you should be looking for.
Fine. If that's the way you want it, that's the way you'll get it. Give my regards to Lord Veterinary when your trial comes up. I doubt he'll be as patient with you as I have. The fact is, mister, that with you behind bars, the city will be a slightly better place.
They delivered me into the hands of the palace guards, who delivered me into the walls of a holding cell. I had a bad feeling about the way things were going. Mostly people who were sent to the patrician for trial got seen right away. Rumor had it that being put in a holding cell pending trial was like being filed away in a drawer marked forgotten, and not a very big drawer at that. I could find nothing out of the ordinary about the wall. The wall to the cell had a nice dank feel to it. I expect it was Cell Wall of the Month in Home and Dungeon. Fast little fellow, he disappeared the moment I started moving. No matter what I did, that rat was too quick for me. The door to the cell was so stereotypical I half expected to look around and find a bearded old man manacled to the wall. I pounded on the door, but no one seemed to care. The wall to the cell had a nice dank feel to it. I expect it was Cell Wall of the Month in Home and Dungeon. I could find nothing out of the ordinary about the wall. The wall to the... As I worked my fingers around the crack, it became clear that the crack was the side of a loose slab. The other side of the wall was another cell, but nothing like the holding cell. This was full of sketches and models, tools and materials. It looked more like a workshop, and there was someone working in it.
Would you like a cup of tea?
No, thanks.
Are you sure? Or are they not drinking tea outside anymore?
Outside?
The city. I take it you're from the city. How is it? Same as ever, I suppose.
You're Leonard de Quirm.
Yes, I am.
I'd found Leonard de Quirm. The man was almost a legend. There was no disputing that Leonard was a technological genius. But this meant he was as dangerous to the precarious stability of Ankh-Morpork as a Rumor had it that the patrician had locked him in a nice airy cell for everyone's safety, because Leonard was the kind of guy who'd light any fuse for the innocent pleasure. The only other thing I could recall was that although the guy was hot stuff at the nuts and bolts, he was definitely at the bottom of the class when it came to thinking up. The patrician keeps you imprisoned here,
Sorry?
You're working for the patrician?
Not really. He calls from time to time and has a look at some of my sketches. Nice man. He keeps me abreast of events on the outside.
What's that you're working on?
This is my flapping wing flying device. I built a small prototype out of gutta-percha strips, twisted tightly together, and it worked, although not very well. Now I'm building a full-scale model.
Does it fly?
Not yet, but once I've solved the problem of the weight of the holding it together frame and the mechanical faults with the spinning blades radiating from the central hub, it should do. I was having trouble getting enough force to twist the blades together, but the troll the other week sorted that out for me.
Troll?
Yes. He was staying in your room before you. He made this window for me so I could watch the bird. Always good for inspiration are the birds. Not that I don't have enough inspiration as it is. Damn things. Just once I'd like to wake up without finding my sheets covered in sketches of novel designs for apple peelers.
Did you give the troll some metal strips by any chance?
Yes. He made them into a metal hook with prongs, I believe. Not one of my designs.
His name was Malachite.
Was it? It's possible. I never was good with names.
Useful though they are, an exit is just an exit. The gaping hole had been created by Malachite to escape from the palace. Leonard liked to think of it as a window. At that moment I thought I heard the sound of someone at the door to my cell. My heart leapt to my throat and narrowly missed my tonsils. I had to get back to my cell and fast.
Hello, Luton.
Nobby, what are you doing here?
I've come to let you go.
Does Vimes know you're here?
Yeah, he sent me.
What happened?
There's a witness to Malachite's murder. Saw the whole thing, although not very well. He couldn't identify the killer, but from the description we got from him, we can rule out you.
So, I'm off the hook?
More or less.
Vimes must be livid.
I've seen him happier, but he's still convinced you're involved in this somehow.
I dare say he has a point, actually. But I'm not a cold-blooded killer, whatever he may think. Who was the witness?
A gargoyle up on the roof of the clerk's office on Salis Street.
What did he see?
I'm not supposed to discuss that with you. Come on, let's get you out of here.
You won't get any arguments from me.
Right, here's your stuff.
Where's the crowbar?
We're keeping that as evidence.
Yeah, right. I'll see you around, Nobby. Thanks for coming to get me out. I appreciate it.
That's what friends are for, isn't it?
Friends are for getting you out of a holding cell?
Could be. I ain't got that many.
You won't get any argument from me. See you later. I had this feeling that I was caught in the middle of something big. but I still hadn't a clue what it was. All I could do was keep searching and hope that sooner or later I'd stumble upon the truth. Well, maybe not stumble, just very carefully put my foot on it and hope the other end didn't come up and hit me in the teeth. The Patrician's Palace. They'd put a chalk outline where Malachite had fallen. It really drove home how big that troll was. I couldn't think of a good reason to erase the chalk outline other than the giddy thrill of vandalism. The gargoyle's name was Clark's Gable, and he had witnessed what had happened on the roof with me and Malachite. It was probably the first exciting thing to happen to him in decades. Are you the gargoyle that witnessed the troll's murder? Clark's Gable?
That's right.
I don't suppose you could talk a little more clearly.
Thing is, I have a gutter in my mouth. Have you ever tried to speak with a gutter in your mouth?
Have I ever tried to hick with a what?
A gutter. A gutter in your mouth.
Oh, with a gutter in my mouth.
Yes.
Sorry, I guess I haven't given much thought to the orally challenged.
That's okay. We're none of us perfect.
I heard you saw the murder that took place here the other night.
Sure did.
Mind if I ask you some questions about it?
Be my guest.
So you're a gargoyle then?
What kind of a conversation opening do you call that, eh?
Don't you get bored being stuck in the same place for so long?
You get used to it. Mating is a bit of a pain.
You must be incredibly patient.
Oh, I always have plenty of things to think about.
Such as?
Well, like, is it raining? Or doesn't that cloud look like a really big cloud?
Oh, the fun never stops when you're up on the rooftops.
You said it.
How do gargoyles mate?
Very slowly.
You can move, though.
Course. How do you think I got here in the first place,
Then why don't you?
Look, I don't criticise you for running about like your brain would stop if your body stopped moving. So don't criticise me and my lifestyle.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cause any offence.
That's okay. We're none of us perfect.
Malachite had been hacked to death with my crowbar. Can you tell me what you saw the other night?
When the troll was killed, eh?
Has anything else interesting happened recently?
Well, I got a pigeon yesterday. That's a rarity. Mostly they steer clear of the rooftops that are colonised by gargoyles.
Putting that to one side, what did you see the other night?
Well, I can only tell you what I told the watch. I saw you and the big troll come up the ladder, only once you were on the roof, it was hard to make out what was going on, but I saw the troll get savaged repeatedly by some kind of creature, some kind of
A beast?
Yeah, that's the best description I can give you.
It's not much help, but thanks all the same.
What for?
For getting me out of jail.
No problem. Glad I could help. If you could toss the odd pigeon up here next time you're passing, I'd be grateful, yeah.
Do you mind if I come back if I have any more questions?
I'm not going anywhere.
I see Sir has returned.
Sir has.
Who would Sir like to see?
I'd like to see Carlotta. Is she home?
She may be, sir. I will go and announce your presence, and she will tell me if she is.
I needed to talk to you.
I'm always happy to fulfill your needs, Luton.
You must have known something about the Milka's cargo.
Yes, I had a crate amongst the cargo. It wasn't carrying anything important. It was just for Mundy to hide the sword in if it became necessary.
But the sword wasn't in the crate.
No. The last I saw of the crate, Reagan had it. I don't know where it is now.
Do you have anything that might help me find it?
I have a shipping order. You can have it if it's useful to you.
It could be. Any lead is a good one at the moment. I'll see you around, Carlotta.
I hope so.
The watchman had a look of mad dedication about him. It was the kind of look that could only be achieved by someone whose job was so mind-numbingly tedious that their only pleasure came from being blisteringly unhelpful to everyone who came along. I take it you're the watchman for this warehouse?
Wow, you're sharp. People never work that out. I mean, there are so many reasons that I might want to be out here on a pier in the middle of nowhere, but you went straight to the fact that I'm a watchman. Well done.
That's a real talent you've got there. It usually takes me much longer to take a dislike for someone. Ordinarily, I'd have attempted to engage anyone in casual conversation. After all, you never know what you might learn. But the watchman... well, let's just say he was a pain in the largest muscle in my body. Have I got that right? Which is the largest muscle, anyway? Better check that later. Carlotta had given me the shipping order for the crate she had on the Milka. I eventually persuaded the watchman to show me the ledger for the recent deliveries. The Milka had been carrying some wine barrels that were shipped to the Café Ankh and some crates under the name Varberg. According to the watchman, they were collected by the Guild of Archaeologists, Antiquarians, and Tomb Evacuators. I guess somewhere was the von Uberwald crate that went with the shipping order, but the watchman didn't know about it, and there was no sign of it in the warehouse. I'd always respected Samael, and he'd always put up with me. I don't know why. I guess it didn't really matter. Taking a break, Samael?
Oh, yes. It's not easy working the piano all night.
Well, I'm sure you deserve it.
Thank you, Mr. Luton.
You don't have to call me Mr. Samael. We're old friends.
Sure thing, Mr. Luton. Old friends. I reckon I've earned a right to call you Mister.
As long as that's what you want. How's business, Samael?
It's pretty good, Mr. Luton. How are things with you?
Not so good. think I'm so deep in trouble that I haven't even realized it yet.
You haven't had much luck, have you, Mr. Luden?
Not since the Hotel Pseudopolis.
That was when... Oh, I see.
That's okay, Samael. I don't mind talking to you about it. You're like family. Apparently, some of the cargo on the Milka was delivered here.
That's right. The Milka always brings us a supply of amphibian wine.
Where is it now?
Most of it is still in the wine cellar. We sell some of it on.
Who to?
Lots of different people. I have a box of receipts in the cellar if you're interested.
Sure.
I'll give you the key.
I guess I never really noticed that the Cafe Ankh had a wine cellar before. Perhaps if they'd run out of drinks at the bar, I'd have been more inclined to investigate. I knew full well that I wouldn't be able to get down there without permission and the right key. Samael had given me the key to the wine cellar. Years ago, it would have been my dream to stand in the Café Ankh's wine cellar. So many barrels of fine wine. Even Chateau Hector, Year of the Weevil. My favorite vintage. I used to dream of Ilsa, too, from time to time. So when I walked in to find Ilsa there, I had to check I wasn't wearing my pajamas. Hello again, Ilsa. I can see I'm going to have to get used to finding you where I least expect. You didn't say goodbye at the casino. What happened to you?
We got away, thanks to you.
It was nothing.
It wasn't nothing. You saved our lives, Luton.
Lulu, is that you?
What's up with him?
He's delirious. He's been injured.
Let me have a look at his wound.
He'll be fine. He needs a chance to rest, that's all. He fades in and out a little, but he'll be okay.
What happened?
It was Remora. He's been following us. He won't quit.
He's an assassin. It's his job. Once they've been paid, the target is as good as dead. They never renege on a contract. They throw great soirees as well, and if they invite you, they won't take no for an answer.
That's not much comfort.
Well, at least you know if an assassin kills you, you're not going to be killed by some thug. They're very efficient at it. Practice makes perfect, you might say. I was going to be an assassin once.
What happened?
The usual. Forces outside my control.
It is you, from Casino. You save our life. We to be in your debt.
I guess you to be just that.
We need your help, Luton.
Haven't I done enough for you?
I know it's a lot to ask after what happened.
Women. It's never enough for you, is it?
Please, you have to find us somewhere safe to hide.
Why? Why should I do that for you? Why should I do anything for you?
Not for what happened, Luton. For what we had. Once.
We had a dream. Trouble is, I woke up and I could still remember it. Does he know about us?
2 conkers? No, I never told him.
Why not?
He's my husband.
You're married?
I always was. Even when I met you.
Why didn't you tell me?
It's not as simple as that. I met 2 conkers in Ikalpon. He was on a secret dig for the Sun Emperor and we fell in love.
I thought the Agateans weren't supposed to know about the outside world.
That's true, but the outside world isn't supposed to know about the Agatean Empire either. Trouble is, centuries ago, their empire spread beyond the counterweight continent, and there's archaeological evidence for the strange and charmed quack dynasties all along the Turnwise Ocean coast. The Sun Emperor sent 2 conkers out to cover up the evidence.
This doesn't explain why you didn't tell me you were married when we met.
Two conquers went back to the Agatean Empire, and I stayed behind. He wasn't sure I'd be safe there as an outsider. I didn't think I'd ever see him again. He might as well have died. I almost died too, until I met you.
Great. I was your number 2 husband.
You don't understand, Luton. I didn't love Two Conquers. I mean, I was infatuated with him, and he needed me. I was nothing before I met him. He gave me a purpose. He gave me a life.
Oh, that's good. Because he took mine. At least his accounts will balance. He came back, didn't he? That's why you left me.
Yes. I got a letter from him saying that the government had been overthrown and the empire was a new world. I wanted to tell you, but I didn't think you'd understand.
At least you got that right. So you're Mrs. Ilsa Conquers.
No, I kept my maiden name. Our marriage was supposed to be a secret.
So you've been traveling with Two Conquers for quite a while now.
Yes, we've been making our way around the Circle Sea. There have been several digs.
And everything you find goes back to the Agatean Empire.
No, not now. There's no point. Most of it comes here to Ankh-Morpork. We give it to the Guild of Archaeologists, Antiquarians, and Tomb Evacuators. They have quite a collection of artifacts.
That's it? You spend your life digging up junk that no one ever sees?
We're looking for something. Something Two Conquers wants to take back to the Agatean Empire.
What is it?
A jewel.
Jewel. Find the jewel, yes?
Tell me about this jewel.
Gold-plated jewel. Very old.
I thought the Agatean Empire had plenty of gold.
Special artifact. Gold to be making it come from Agatean Empire. Stolen by one of your gods. Great fortune to Empire if it can be returned to us.
How will you know if you found it?
Gold-plated jewel not common. This jewel be having inscription. Unquam paratas.
It means forever ready.
You don't even know if this jewel actually exists, do you?
We've just come from a dig in Sorta. It's a village near the ruins of the ancient city of Sort. We found inscriptions there of many artifacts, including this jewel. It exists, all right. We just haven't been able to find it.
If all these inscriptions were in Sorta, what are you doing here in Ankh-Morpork?
That's just it. The inscriptions claim that the jewel is here in Ankh-Morpork. Apparently, after the fall of Sort, the jewel was held by monks in the village of Sorta. But over 4 centuries, the Knights of the Order of the Sacred Tulip went out on quests to find it.
Why?
They were knights. They went on foolish quests all the time. It was a knight thing. I think all the different orders competed to outdo each other in foolishness. I heard the Knights of the Fairly Pink Triangle spent 2 centuries looking for a better name.
And you think one of the knights found it?
Apparently. The inscription said he took it to Ankh-Morpork, there to guard it forever.
Forever?
You know these ancient inscriptions. They have a tendency to exaggerate everything. It probably meant nearly forever.
I'm trying to track some of the cargo on the Milka. A set of crates that were supposed to belong to a Varberg.
That's me, Ilsa Varberg.
You never told me your name was Varberg.
Names weren't that important to us back then, if you remember.
I guess not. So the crates are yours?
Mine and Two Conquers, yes. They should be at the Guild of Archaeologists by now.
What was in them?
Artifacts from the dig in Sorta. Nothing valuable except in the historical sense.
I need to get to them.
I can get you into the guild if you want, but it'll cost you.
What do you want?
Find us somewhere safe to hide Two Conquers. He's not safe while Remora is looking for him.
That's true, but nowhere in the city is going to be safe.
You'll have to find somewhere that no one would even think of looking for him.
It'd take a miracle to conceal Two Conquers, and the patrician has outlawed miracles.
That's my price. If you hide Two Conquers, I'll sign you into the guild. You'll never get in there without me.
I'll do what I can. That's all I can do.
That's all I ask.
If I find somewhere to hide him, you'll take me to the crates?
I'll get you into the guild, but you're on your own after that. That's my offer. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I'll be back.
We're not going anywhere.
The Guild of Archaeologists, Antiquarians, and Tomb Evacuators. I liked the idea of hiding two conkers in the palace. It was somewhere that the assassins would never look, and Lord Vetinari would never think of looking right under his own nose. I hoped. Trouble was, I wanted somewhere inside that was safe, somewhere suitably hidden. I liked, and trouble, the palace walls were useful for keeping intruders out and keeping the roof in place. Looking closely, I could see the other side of the hole in the wall that I'd seen from inside Leonard's cell. Right under the patrician's nose. It was just crazy enough to work. But I'd have to be sure I could get up there first. Right under the patrician. It was but I... It always looked much easier in the clickies. I've done it. I've found somewhere to hide him.
Where?
Where no one would even think about looking. Somewhere that only the patrician and I know exists, I reckon.
The patrician and you? What if the patrician finds two conkers there?
Two conkers should be able to hide without too much difficulty. Besides, I have a feeling that if Lord Vetinari meets two conkers, he'll have a different take on this situation. He doesn't like to see useful people get killed. Besides, I am sure this is the only place in Ankh-Morpork that he'll be safe from Remora. Is it okay to move him?
He should be okay.
To be feeling much better in thankings. Sure he's not still delirious?
Sometimes I wonder.
Let's go. Hello again, Leonard.
Hello. I'm afraid I had to go back to the drawing tablet with the spinning blades radiating from central hub. It was too heavy. The device flew all right, but only in a downward trajectory.
That is looking like some kind of fluttering machinery.
Yes, I call it a flapping wing flying device, but it isn't working yet.
May I take a look?
Be my guest.
Are you to be considering the increasings of the wingtitude?
The span of the wings? I considered it, but the weight is still the problem.
What if you be using bombastic wood for the frame? It hadn't occurred to me that two conkers would have any practical skills. But I guess you didn't carry out complex excavations without learning a thing or two about engineering. I left him to get to know Leonard and hooked up with Ilsa. She had a deal to keep. With 2 conkers safely hidden away, Ilsa kept her word. She took me straight to the guild and signed me in as her personal guest. Laredo Kronk, the upwardly nubile tomb evacuator and the focus of the fantasies of 1,000 post-pubescent adolescents. I had to admit there was something about her. Excuse me, can you help me?
That depends on what you want.
I'm new here. I'm just trying to get a feel for the place.
Are you a member?
Not yet.
What's your name?
Luton.
Laredo Kronk. Pleased to meet you, I'm sure.
The pleasure is all mine.
Of course it is. So you're a guest, are you?
Is that a bad thing?
Only in so much as 8 out of 10 guests who confess to preference stole something before disappearing.
I'm not going to steal anything, trust me.
No, I think you're wrong. You are going to steal something, but don't worry about it. Almost everything the Guild of Archaeologists owns is stolen, and frankly, they should expect people to steal from them.
Do you steal from them?
Golly, no! I never steal from any building less than 1,000 years old, and with really exciting puzzles.
So, what do you do for a living?
I'm a tomb evacuator.
And what does that involve?
It's a lot of fun. It means breaking into ancient buildings within which no man or woman has walked for thousands of years, apart from whoever it is who leaves all those medical kits, of course, and working my way through fiendish traps and puzzles, and eventually stealing some priceless treasure.
And do you sell the treasure?
Goodness, no! I'm far too well-bred for that. I bring it here, and have to watch as they slam it into a vault that nobody will look in.
A vault?
Forget I said that. Suffice it to say, the Guild of Archaeologists has a priceless collection of artifacts, but no one gets to see them.
Isn't that a waste?
Well, nobody said archaeology was rewarding.
Why do you do it then?
For the excitement, silly, and the fame. Everyone has heard of Laredo Kronk.
I hadn't.
Well, most people have. I was on the front cover of Archaeologists Monthly twice last year.
I don't read it.
Those long words can be so tiresome, can't they?
So, what does a tomb evacuator do?
Nothing special. I break into places where priceless antiquities have been locked away for centuries, overcome the elaborate and convoluted security systems, defeat my rivals, and make away with the treasure. Typical day's work, really.
So, you must be pretty rich then.
Oh, I've got absolutely pots of money. Anyway, the whole thing with the tombs and so on is just a hobby. And of course, it's great for making friends.
Why? Among fiendish tomb-guarding monsters?
No, I kill all those. I meant people are always asking me things like, how do you get to the third ledge in the tomb of Tex-Mex cuisine? What's a walkthrough?
Never heard of it.
People are always asking me for one. I hope it's nothing to do with sex.
My mind just boggled. Sorry. Broken into anywhere interesting, have you?
Well, I knocked over the Grand Temple of Offla several times. Such sillies. Every time they get the tear of Offla back, I take it. It's getting a bit boring recently. Then there's the Catacombs of Genua and the Temple of Anno Anno at Al-Khali. You don't know, it's all a little routine. I'd like to do something new for a change.
Ever thought about retiring?
I'd love to, but the public seem to want me.
You mentioned vaults.
I told you to forget I mentioned that.
I take it all the treasure that people find is kept in vaults under the guild.
I shouldn't discuss that with you since you're only a guest.
Worried I'm going to steal something?
Worried? No. I'm certain you're going to steal something. I just don't care.
Why not?
I'm very philosophical about this sort of thing. It's like I said, everything in the guild is stolen. It seems only fitting that someone else should get to steal it back, assuming they can overcome the traps, of course.
An associate of Al-Khali's, whatever that means. Horst was a troll who was large on stature and fond of long, rambling sentences that rarely got to the point. I didn't trust him for a second. Do you know a troll by the name of Horst?
Jasper Horst. Yes, I know him. Horst and I go way back, and I don't mean that in a good way.
How do you know Horst?
You could say that he and I are rivals. We have this uncanny habit of turning up in the same place at the same time, looking for the same archaic treasure.
You sound bitter.
Well, I always win, of course. That doesn't mean I don't resent his interference.
Must keep your life interesting, though.
Perhaps. I could stand a little less excitement in my life, though.
Thanks for your time.
No problem.
Ah, Mr. Luton. It is always a pleasure to see you. I trust you have brought something with you that will be to my liking.
I haven't brought you the sword yet, if that's what you mean.
I'm a patient troll, sir, but there are limits to my patience.
There was a certain appeal to the feisty tomb evacuator that I couldn't deny. A woman named Laredo Crunk is in town. It seems to me that you might know her.
Laredo is here in Ankh-Morpork? Really? I thought that we had dealt with her in the temples of Tezuman. She is full of surprises, that one. Would you do me a favor, sir, as one friend to another?
Perhaps. It depends on the favor.
But of course, your prudence continues to speak well of you. I'd like for you to arrange a meeting with Laredo for me.
It seems as if I'd be doing you a favor. It seems as if I should be getting something in return.
Very well. Arrange this meeting for me, and we can discuss the sword in detail. Do we have an agreement?
Works for me. I'll go give her the news. I can't guarantee she'll turn up, though.
Oh, she'll come. We have much to discuss.
I'll be back to continue our conversation.
And hopefully to seal our deal, sir. I look forward to it.
Ankh-Morpork was home to around 300 guilds, most of which festered in the space between Unseen University and the Patrician's Palace like fungus. From the Assassin's Guild to the Beggar's Guild, every one a proud group of individuals basking in their mutual arrogance. I hated them for their smugness. I hated their petty bickering. But most of all, I hated that I wasn't part of one. The guild coat of arms was clearly displayed, along with the guild motto, Serpentis Odi. I don't think the guild would have been happy with my trying to steal their sign. I'm back.
Apparently so.
I've got a message for you from Horst.
Horst is in Ankh-Morpork.
Absolutely. He wants to meet with you to discuss certain matters arising.
Super.
I have to say that it's probably a trap.
Of course it's a trap. That's what makes it interesting. I'll see you later, Luton.
Best of luck.
You too.
Laredo made her way over to Horst's quarters and didn't look back. I had no idea what the two had to talk about, but I was sure it would lead to a new and exciting adventure, one even more complex and challenging than her last. For the time being at least, Laredo was out of the way. I browsed aimlessly through the bookcase, and I noticed that one of the books was connected to the bookcase by a hinge. I heard a faint click, and the next thing I knew, the fireplace was revolving. I won't bore you with the details of the Guild's security system. After all, if you've seen one intricate and fatal collection of pits and traps, you've pretty much seen them all. Suffice to say, it took a lot of trial and error, some scorched eyebrows, and more levers than I could count. I punched away at the runes randomly, but as far as I could tell, nothing happened. I wasn't about to steal the security notice. Up on the wall of Vault 51 was a sign reading, "Unseen Securities, Magical Alarms, Wards, and Hexes." I guess a place like this needed the best security around. There was a panel by the oak door with runes on it. One of the vaults grabbed my attention more than the others, Vault 51. Whereas most of the vaults were open, this one was sealed behind a large oak door with the words "Nil Introitus" written on it. I once knew a man who had that tattooed on his buttocks. This wasn't turning out to be one of my better days. I thought about petting the dog, but there was something about the way he looked that made me think twice, maybe even 3 times about it. Perhaps something inside the vault would solve the mystery of Mundy's last words. One of the vaults grabbed my attention, whereas I once knew. I didn't need any of the cards, although I would have liked a few to decorate my office. Maybe the Ace of Octograms, the Inquisitor, the Exquisitor, and the irritating habit of finishing off other people's sentences. Can we talk, or do I have to play that stupid game again?
Business is slow. We can talk.
Time to excuse myself from the table, I think. Warb was the most depressed and jumpy wizard I'd met. Maybe hanging around a casino did that to a man. You seem to get worked up over my gambling.
I'm not as easygoing as I used to be.
You're a wizard?
Wow, you're sharp. What tipped you off? The gown? The arcane symbols?
Look, I just thought you might want to talk. You tried to help me at the table, and I thought I'd make amends for being so rude to you. Sorry I tried.
No, wait. I'm like, sorry, friend. It's just, I'm on the edge.
The name's Luton.
I'm sorry. We haven't been properly introduced. My name is Warb. B-L-L.
B-L-L?
Well, Bachelor of Eldritch Lace Making.
Eldritch lace-making?
Don't ask.
You a regular in here, then?
I guess so. I'm not very lucky.
I thought all wizards were lucky.
Whatever gave you that impression? Do you know how many bizarre and unpleasant ways there are for a wizard to die inside the walls of Unseen University alone? One false invocation as you're summoning a demon, and bang! You're lunch for some pit fiend with more tentacles than legs and fewer arms than heads. Or spend too long in the wrong area of the library, and poof, you disappear. All that you leave behind is a statistic.
Don't you like being a wizard? It always seemed like a glamorous profession to me.
There's nothing glamorous about wizardry. Well, except for glamours.
Glamours?
It's an elvish thing.
Well, thank you very much. If you're so unlucky, why do you come here?
I haven't lived a lucky life, but, well, I dunno. I guess I feel that in here I at least have a chance.
But the odds are always stacked against you. The house always has the advantage.
Let me tell you something, Luton. The house always has the advantage. Here, out there, it doesn't make any difference. At least in here, you know who the house is.
That's a pretty stark outlook.
Ever made a decision that affected your whole life? Ever done something that throws everything into question?
No, I don't feel in that much control of my life.
None of us are.
So you work up at Unseen University.
I was trained there. Once I got my degree, I moved on.
But you're still a wizard. I thought all you guys were under the jurisdiction of the university.
Yeah, I work for Unseen Securities now.
Unseen Securities?
Yeah, we make magical security systems. Very exclusive.
Are they expensive?
Oh, yeah. Hardly anyone can afford our services.
I think this charm bracelet is worth something to you.
Really?
The charms are carved from serendipitous redwood. It's a genuine luck bringer.
Where did you get it? And if it's so lucky, why do you want to give it to me?
It used to belong to Reagan, and I'm not going to give it to you, but I might trade it to you.
Reagan? The dwarf, yeah. I remember seeing him wear it at the tables. Do you think that was why he always won?
I'm no expert, but anything's possible.
You're right. I'm interested. What do you want for it?
What have you got?
I haven't got any money. Actually, I don't think I've got anything of any value to offer at all.
I guess we'll just have to think of something. I have an idea of what you can trade me for the bracelet.
Go on.
You work for Unseen Securities, right?
Yeah?
Well, I need to get into Vault 51 under the Guild of Archaeologists, and you can help me.
No, that's a bad idea. I could get into serious trouble.
Face it, Warb, your life's a mess. You've got nothing to lose. But if this charm bracelet is as good as it seems, it could make a world of difference to you.
Whoa, if they traced a break-in back to me, my life wouldn't be worth living.
In the first place, no one is going to know I broke in. And in the second place, there's no reason they need to trace it back to you. And in the third, your life is already not worth living. What difference is this going to make?
Oh, maybe you're right. All right, I'll do it.
How do I switch off the security system for Vault 51?
I don't know what their watchword is, but all the Unseen security systems have a back passage.
What's that?
It's a way to switch them off that only we know about.
What is it?
You'll have to find the rune panel.
What's it look like?
It's a small panel with runes marked on it. You touch the right runes in sequence to switch it off.
What's the sequence for the back passage?
Give me the bracelet first.
Here you are. Now, what's the sequence for the back passage?
Whatever the runes are on the panel, make an X starting in the top left and finishing in the bottom left. That's the back passage.
A pleasure doing business with you, Warb.
You won't tell anyone about this, will you?
Don't worry. I'm feeling honorable today. Maybe I'll see you later. The croupier at the truncheon table was a man named Whirl. Whirl didn't give anything away for free. I punched away at the runes randomly, but as far as I could Just as Warb had told me, I made an X on the control panel. I just hoped he was telling the truth. One of the vaults grabbed my attention more than where I once... Vault 51. I couldn't deny it. It made a big impression on me. Not quite as big an impression as some of the traps on the way would have done, but at least the impression it was making wasn't fatal. I worked my way around the vault towards Exhibit 3712V. A beautiful glittering diamond. I tried not to think that I had pulled it out of a dead troll's corpse. More importantly, I tried not to think about the fact that I stole it from the Salaci family mausoleum. The troll's tooth scored through the cabinet's glass like an accountant through a rich man's wallet. I smashed the toy urn into tiny pieces, and inside was the golden sword. Finally, this was it. The artifact that Carlotta, Horst, and who knows how many other people were looking for. Frankly, it was a bit of an anticlimax. I expected it to at least glow a little, or perhaps sing to itself quietly, or hum with the stolen souls of 1,000 men. but it just felt cold and hard in my hand, like any other sword. Suddenly it came over me that everything would go wrong. It sounds crazy, but it's true, so help me. I couldn't hear my footsteps. It was the walk of a dead man. The golden sword had already caused me a lot of trouble. I had a feeling it was going to cause a lot more before long. When I made it out of the guild alive, I thought I was home free. But there was something wrong. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I knew I was in danger. I'm not a suspicious man, but I am a cautious man. I decided then and there to start running and not look back until my office door was safely locked behind me. But something else had plans for me not to make it that far. I don't know when I first began to suspect that I wasn't dead. I guess it must have been when I realized I was thinking about whether or not I was dead. The anthropomorphic entity with the scythe hadn't turned up, so I figured I was either alive or undead. And it didn't take me long to work out which. I wandered through the streets in a daze, not really knowing what was going on. At first, I couldn't make out any colors. Then gradually the city came alive with vast clouds of pigmentation. Against it all, there was an ever-present mist of bright green, cloying and unpleasant. There was a dissonance about it that I couldn't place, until I realized I was smelling the rank odor of the River Ankh. I was smelling the world. Every smell fascinated me. The resonant scents combined into a symphony. Every street was an opera, every lamppost an invitation. I don't know how long I wandered the streets. It's hard to tell which way is up when your world has been turned upside down. I ended up back where I started because I didn't know what else to do. Plus, my coat was in the coffin, and Ankh-Morpork is a bad neighborhood to be caught naked in.
Woof, woof.
I haven't got anything to eat, if that's what you want.
Woof, woof, woof.
I haven't got any idea what's going on either.
Woof, bloody woof.
Hey,
That's pretty sharp. Most people don't catch on to that.
what did you say?
Woof, woof.
You can talk, can't you? I mean, really talk.
Nothing gets past you, does it?
How did you do that?
Well, I can sort of talk.
Nonsense. If there was a talking dog in Ankh-Morpork, I'd have heard about it.
Well, the thing is, most people don't seem to notice it.
Yeah, right. Like you wouldn't notice a talking dog.
Seems like people only see what they expect to see.
How philosophical of you.
I just calls 'em as I see 'em.
So how come I can tell you can talk?
I don't claim to understand it, I just do it.
Do you know what's happened to me?
I'm guessing you didn't know you were a werewolf till you woke up this morning.
I'm a werewolf. That explains what's happening to me. I thought somebody slipped something into my embalming fluid.
First order of business is to train you up then.
Hold it right there. I don't need your help.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do. Look at yourself. What's your name?
Luton. I'm a private investigator. Well, I was. Then I was dead. Then I was, well, a werewolf, I suppose. I guess I spoke too soon. Maybe I do need your help. What's your name?
Gaspode the Wonder Dog.
The Wonder Dog?
Hey, don't knock the name. I was named after the famous Gaspode.
Never heard of him.
Most people haven't. He belonged to an old man in Ankh many years ago. When the old man died and was buried, Gaspode lay down on his grave and howled for a couple of weeks, growling at anyone who came near. Then he died.
And they called him the Wonder Dog because he was such a paragon of doggy faithfulness and loyalty.
Until they discovered that his tail had been trapped under the stone, yeah.
How do you think I became a werewolf?
Well, presumably you got bit by a werewolf.
Bitten.
Right. Lesson 1. Don't correct me grammar, all right?
Sorry.
Okay. Well, once I've trained you, I suggest that the first thing you do is try and work out how you got infected.
Infected?
With lycanthropy. It's the blood disease that werewolves have. Now, since you don't have any cubhood memories of romping with your pack, I reckon it's a safe bet that you got infected somehow.
So someone I know is a werewolf.
Give the wolf a cigar.
So can I change between being a wolf and a man at will?
Sort of. There's a certain way the change works.
The change?
There's 2 things you got to learn about being a werewolf. The nose and the change.
The nose?
Yeah, the nose. Werewolves have a unique perception of the world, a different point of smell.
I've noticed that. I can see scents as colors, and they have a certain feel about them too.
Those colours are unique. Each smell has its own signature colour. So you can tell whether or not someone has been somewhere by whether or not you can see their scent there.
Even as a man?
No, only when you're a wolf.
And how do I switch between forms?
That's what the change is all about. It's a skill you've got to learn how to do. Now, you've already used it to turn into a wolf. Soon, you'll be able to change whenever you wanna.
How did I change this time if I didn't know how?
That's the other thing about the change. You have to change at the full moon. I guess that's what brought this on in the first place. Other times, it's voluntary.
So can I change now?
Give it a try.
At first I didn't know what to do, but Gaspode talked me through it. Then, when I could see the world in all its psychedelic glory, Gaspode started teaching me about the nose.
You look around, tell me what you see, as a wolf.
There's a lot of colors.
Phew, I can see how you became a private investigator. You get a lot more information about scents with your werewolf senses. You can see them as colours.
I can see a mist of bright green surrounding everything. And there's something that looks like a long stream of purplish-red cloud with some tiny fluorescent greenish-yellow-purple specks in it. Also, there's a ground fog of some kind of unpleasant blue.
Well, the bright green is the stench of the River Ark. No mistaking that. That long stream of cloud sounds like the scent of someone having gone through the cemetery recently. Does it smell like a privy carpet?
No, it smells like Carlotta, but with less treble.
Well, it wasn't me then. I guess I'm the ground fog of unpleasant blue.
Who was it?
I don't know who it was, but it was someone.
I can't see my own scent.
Well, that's normal. You're so used to being around it that it's invisible to you. And that's handy for me, what with my stench and all.
So I can follow the purplish scent to find this person.
If you want, and assuming you don't lose the trail. Other smells eventually drown scents out, especially out on the streets.
What about the coruscating dots?
What's it like?
It's like flashing green, yellow, purple.
Is it like mature mould with an earthy echo?
No.
It's not you then. Dunno what it is. See where else you find it and you might be able to work out what it is.
According to Gaspode, I could learn a lot from comparing different scents. I figured that could come in handy in my line of work. Assuming I could change back to being human, that is. I gave it my best shot.
Nicely done.
I learned from a master.
Right, that's about it. Apart from the full moon, you can be whatever you want to be. But as of the full moon, you're sniffing lampposts with the rest of us.